Hello everybody and welcome to another Archetype guide on playing board games. First off, I want to say if you like this kind of content and you subscribe to our channel, but you've never hit that bell because you get notified for content you don't want to see because we release a variety of content on the channel, you can now click it to have notifications that matter to you. And the YouTube algorithm, the weird robotic mind that it is, will determine what videos on our channel you watch. So if you watch all our Arkham Horror content, and if you click that bell, you'll be notified when our Arkham Horror content goes live only. You should try it out and just be really great. So if you haven't smashed that bell, smash that bell with the caveat that I only want to be notified of what matters to me. Today, for our Archetype guide, we're going to be talking about Rogue Actions Matter. Bryn, as our resident rogue expert, what is the goal of this archetype?
Well, you want to take lots more actions than you are normally allowed to.
Yeah.
In order to do things approximately as well as the other colors get to.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Viewers, when we get to the synergy page, this one was a bit tricky for me to find some synergies with that weren't just obvious, and I can't say if I succeeded or not. Why don't we look at some cards for this one, starting with a bunch of investigators and borrowed time. So, Bryn, I'll pass this one to you first, and you can talk about all these people and why actions may matter for them or why actions may come easier to them.
All right, so first up, we got Skids O'Toole. He can pay two resources to take an extra action this turn, once per turn, because it would be kind of nuts if you could do it any number of times that you wanted to.
Yeah, that'd be sick though.
It would be cool. But as you can see, like, his numbers aren't great, but you get to take lots of swings at everything, which is kind of an upside of the actions matter archetype, is that it matters less. Each of your individual tests matter less because you're just going to be making more of them. Mm-hmm. We got Finn Edwards, who gets an extra action every turn that he can only use to evade. However, it's still an extra action. And we got Tony Morgan, who gets to put bounties on things. That's not part of his investigator card, but he gets to put bounties on enemies when they spawn, and then you can take extra actions to either engage or fight those enemies. So again, like, you get an extra action every turn, but you got to use it for something specific.
I'm no expert when it comes to these investigators, but like, to me, Tony Morgan is the most successful green investigator in terms of like his action output. Like, even though Skids you got to pay 2 resources every turn. And with Tony, yes, you only get it for when monsters show up and to fight and engage them. But I mean, like, that's what you're here to do. And like, the way it's just so efficient you don't even need to do anything. You just say, this monster's wanted and I'm going to kill him.
Yeah, you do only get to like put a set number of bounties on things. There are ways to get more, notably his star effect and like his guns. Mm-hmm. But yeah, as opposed to like Skids, who could theoretically just take an extra action every turn. Mm-hmm. You got something like a lone wolf in play.
Yeah,
and you're just like, instead of using my resources for things, I'm just gonna pretend I'm Leo. And
what does borrowed time do?
Do extra things. So for borrowed time, it is 1 costed, 3 XP, exceptional. As an action, you can place 1 resource on borrowed time as a click, to a maximum of 3 clicks. It doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. And then forced, when your turn begins, you remove all the clicks from it, and you can take that many extra actions this turn. Mm-hmm. So this card is really good for storing up your extra, or you've probably played turns where you're like, well, I got 2 things that I need to do, and then after that, like, I guess I'm taking a resource or drawing a card or whatever because I've got nothing else to do. Mm-hmm. This just lets you store those up until you find a turn where you do need them.
Yeah.
And furthermore, once you've got 3 on, yeah, sure, it's forced that you got to remove them every turn, but you can just use those extra actions to bank clicks back into the borrowed time.
Heck yeah. It also seems particularly fun with the next card. I think that's on the next slide over here, Haste, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
The 41 Derringer, so this is just the upgraded version, not the basic. It did not have the rider, which is, on this one, you gotta spend 1 ammo and fight, and you get +2 attack for it. If you succeed by 1 or more, it deals +1 damage. But if you succeed by 3 or more, you may take an additional action this turn. So it says extra actions, and this is the archetype where actions matter. And as Bryn says, using all of your actions to do small little things will really add up in Rogue. And the way he says, which is about to be on par with the other colors, but there's still a lot of, like, that's just kind of like one of the jokes we have here, especially when it was just the core set for green. But there's a lot of powerful things you can do, especially if, like, you get to kill something and then still do something else. Like, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, like, Tony Morgan's better than most Guardians these days.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about better. Blue permanents are really strong. Blue assets are really strong.
Yeah, but, like, green got a bunch of really good combat assets predicated on the fact that their investigators were garbage at fighting, and then he isn't.
Yeah, and he's like, fear me. Fear me, everyone. Next one here is Haste, which is probably one of my favorite cards that I've never played with, but whenever I see anyone else play with it, I go, that seems fun. You get limit 1 per investigator and it takes up your spell slot, which luckily does not matter in green, unless there's like some fringe cases.
No, doesn't matter much.
Yeah. And then after you perform the same type of action twice in a row, exhaust haste. Take another action of that type again. So this includes activate, engage, evade, fight, investigate, move, play, resource, and draw. The activate one's especially important because, say for example, with your 41 Derringer, you shoot someone with your fortified Derringer. That counts as both a fight action and an activate action. If you did another activate action in the meantime, like say for example, a borrowed time, you can then activate another activated action for free with haste, which then could potentially be another click on your borrowed time that you essentially are just taking for free this turn to use next turn for when something else shows up.
Or you could even shoot something with your Derringer and then put a click on your borrowed time and then fire up a lockpicks or something like that.
Yeah, there's just
like there's a lot of things you could do.
The activate is the real spicy part of haste. Like the other stuff's nice, but like when you can start like multiple like chaining related but not actually the same effect because it's activate, it's pretty fun. There's also Leo. There is an upgraded Leo in the core set that I did not put on this slide because he just costs 1 less, but you get to take an additional action during each of your turns. And Bryn, what do you always say about Leo? Why is he so good?
33% more turn every turn.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Rest of the game. Yeah. No, it's pretty tough to argue with that. Like 6 is a lot of money, and a lot of people say that he is not good because it takes you 7 turns to recoup what you invested to play him. But not all actions are created equal. Taking a resource is probably the weakest thing you could do with an action.
Yeah.
Getting an extra fight or an extra investigate every turn, that's pretty big.
Yeah. I mean, like, just getting 1 more action a turn, I think, pays for itself off in, like, pretty dang quick.
Yeah.
Pretty dang quick.
Yeah. No, my personal record, I believe, is 11 actions in a turn.
Wow.
It's not like an amazing one. It could have been a lot better.
Yeah, but I'm still impressed. I'm over here as a survivor taking 3 actions, putting my hands neatly on the table and saying, I'm finished. Yeah,
the sad part was I didn't actually get to accomplish too much more than, like, I could have if I were playing blue cards or something.
No, that sounds about right. That also sounds about right.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Ace in the Hole. This is exceptional and fast, and you can play only during your turn. You may take an additional 3 actions this turn. Actions matter. Let's do more of them.
Yeah, this one's pretty sweet. 0 for just, like, an extra turn.
Yeah.
Why not? The only sad thing about it is that Safina can't paint a better hand of cards.
That is the shame.
Because it's exceptional.
All right, Bryn, I'll pass these ones to you because you probably know these cards.
We got the Chicago Typewriter. So it's a gun with 4 ammo. As an action, you spend 1 ammo and fight. You may spend any number of additional actions when you perform this attack. You get +2 fist for this attack for each action being spent, including the one spent to activate the gun. The attack deals +2 damage. So this one is a solid way to turn your extra actions into something tangible. Like in this case, a combat test that you can beat a very difficult monster with.
Mm-hmm.
It's just better than doing that twice at +2.
Yeah.
It's like doing it once at +4 and just being sure that you're going to pass.
This is also where something like, even actually these next two guns where Borrowed Time comes in, you're like, all right, there's a monster coming next turn. Let's just, borrow some time to, kill him with my Tommy gun, right?
Yeah. Then we got some Colt Vest Pockets. The level 0 one is a 2-cost firearm, uses 5 ammo. As an action, spend 1 ammo, fight. You get +1 punch for this attack. It deals +1 damage. Forced at the end of the round, you have to discard it. So you might be looking at it and be like, 5 ammo, how am I supposed to use that? And the answer is by taking a lot of actions in your turn.
Mm-hmm.
The upgraded one is much better because the difference here is that instead of it being a forced at the end of the round discarded, it is forced at the end of the round if you triggered its action ability, then discard it. So you can play it on a turn where you don't need it, but you don't have to discard it until you do.
Yeah, like you save it for like when the boss shows up and just unload on 5 shots into them.
Yeah, because it's like it's not the best thing to be playing a firearm when you're already engaged with an enemy.
Yeah. I do think Colt Vest Pocket is my favorite design for a weapon because every time I look at it, I scratch my head and I wonder, but how?
Yeah, I guess the upgraded one also gives you +2, which is pretty big for most green characters.
Yeah, that's pretty, yeah.
Most of them only have 3 punch, so getting up to 5 is like kind of a big deal.
And then we got Payday, which is just actually pretty simple. Gain 1 resource for each action you perform this turn, including this one, if it is your turn and your turn. So on the complete face value, this is just an emergency cache that you play at the end of your turn. If you go into the other things you can do that we've shown you so far, taking additional actions, borrow time, this could net you a huge chunk of resources for one action. I mean, it technically requires lots of actions to get there, but for one card, it provides you a lot of resources.
Yeah. This card is really cool with Borrowed Time because you basically just get to take 3 actions that didn't do anything.
Oh man, the classic Bryn twist when he's just saying something like, I'm excited to see the end of this point, and then he's just like, nah, you wasted everything.
It's not a waste though in this case because you spent the actions to get them again next turn.
True, yeah.
But you also get the 3 extra money off of the Payday.
Yeah, like if it wasn't time sensitive, what you're doing with those actions, it's just upside.
Yeah, it's all upside if you aren't currently dying.
Borrowed Time, I've already forgotten the card because I've never played it. It is max 3 clicks, right?
Yeah, you can only have 3 clicks.
Man, I wish you could just be like 3 clicks, 6 clicks, 9 clicks, 12 clicks.
Exactly why you can't do it, Justin.
You just sit there. You just sit there in the parlor, and then the ghoul priest spawns, and you're like, "Don't worry, guys.
Yeah.
Basic fight action until he dies."
Just keep winding the clock.
Baby.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Oh, that's it. That's it. Okay. Sick. All right. Synergy. Most rogue archetypes. All right. This archetype allows you to do more of what your other archetypes want to be doing. So as you can see, this is kind of like an archetype. This is kind of like not as vague as well prepared, but kind of in the same vein of an archetype where this is like a support package to do more with the other archetypes in your deck. So like when all of your actions, if they just end up being fight actions, like yeah, that's good, right? But like especially in Rogue, you could take advantage of this better than any other class by the design of the class. So you're going to do more of your sneaky, super fun Rogue stuff because you're going to take more actions. The other thing it synergizes with is, I knocked it out of the park with this one, playing the game. It sounds obvious, but being able to take more actions means you have more chances to get ahead of the game.
Yeah.
The more you do...
Yeah, this one's...
Here you go, Bryn.
This one's also probably good with like the Blessed Cursed archetype.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just get to take more swings at seeing the token that you want.
That's very fair.
Probably. I don't know. I haven't actually played with those cards, so...
Yeah.
Like, sometimes, a lot of the cards that care about them, like, care if you draw them during a certain action. Excuse me, or something like that. So like there's definitely some that just they give you a benefit when you draw them, but
yeah, kind of just goes with that point too. Just this will synergize with most archetypes, even like cross-class archetypes. Like if you are a green-yellow investigator, like a Trish Scarborough or something like that, getting more actions to do more broken yellow things also sounds pretty sick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and most of the cards for this archetype, or at least like the enabling cards for this archetype, are also level 2 or lower, so you can play them in like off-class green guys too, like Wendy Adams or
Heck yeah.
Leo Anderson.
Heck yeah. All right, Travis, this is your deck.
Yes, it is. So this is basically a haste deck, where you are Skids and you do a little bit of everything. Focus a little bit on monster fighting because that is what Skids is good at, but can definitely pick up clues fairly easily with the lockpicks. And also, you just have lots of actions to do stuff, as you would expect.
One thing, before you get into the breaking it down, one thing I love is the Bandolier Colt Vest Chicago typewriter thing. So like you use the typewriter to kill things, your vest pocket, just when you need it, but it's helping your brain. I think that's gonna be. I like that.
Yeah, getting like plus brain on Skids is pretty big because he actually has like not one.
He has not one. Yeah.
Yeah, which is actually probably bad for him.
Yeah.
Kinda. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, but yeah. So basically, you want to have your setup is you want to have your Bandolier. You want to be holding your Chicago typewriter, so you get the plus brain, and then you have hand slots to still use either the Colt Vest or the lockpicks. The Colt Vest is like a little bit backup here, but we got Leo for the extra actions. We got Ace of Swords to make that punch a little more reasonable, daring and overpowered to really push over the edge, so you can actually kill things that you need to without dumping a million ammo into your typewriter. And then Steadfast gives you some more punch symbols, but also boosts up your theoretical 3 brain to like a real number that you can actually pass tests on.
Mm-hmm.
And then the little event suite we've got here, we got the paydays for money, so that way, and easy marks as well. Economy is important in this deck because ideally you want to be like taking an extra action every turn, or most turns anyway. There's also the 2 copies of Lone Wolf for that, which supports the whole being able to kind of do everything.
Mm-hmm.
You handle this one in case you haven't got like your little brain fix set up yet. And then 2 copies of Sleight of Hand because I don't think it matters which taboo you play with. This card is just like always going to be good with the Cold Vest pocket. So
yeah. This is true.
One thing as well, if you're new to the game and you're wondering about the taboo list, we also haven't said this in a while. If you're just starting out, play without the taboo list. Don't worry about that stuff yet. Just play with the cards as printed. Have a good time with it. Sick. Yeah, I think this is a pretty straightforward deck. Take actions and use those actions to do things. That's how you describe most decks, but yeah.
Yeah, I would say if you've got some extra resources laying around, or extra experience laying around, maybe look into picking up a couple of Another Day, Another Dollar. It is much better in Skids than it is in other investigators because it represents like about an extra action and a half.
Yeah.
Just one time during the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is a 34 experience deck, but you don't need to upgrade Leos, and like you don't need the Ace in the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, although I think the Ace in the hole is better mostly than the Another Day, Another Dollars would be. Though you don't have to draw them. So there is that.
Yeah, you just get it.
Sick.
Yeah.
Well, what archetype do you want to see us discuss next? Next week it is Survivor, so that'll be a good time. We've also had some people asking when we were going to get to, or rather when Travis was going to get to the new player guides for the Innsmouth Conspiracy campaign and cycle. The answer to that is when Innsmouth Conspiracy comes out fully on Arkham DB, and then it'll be on the way. We can't give an actual date yet, but they will be soon. In a perfect world, it'll be the week after our Survivor video. So that's the perfect world, fingers crossed, but we'll wait to see what happens. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.